This is the fly home, where it might be considering the storm, but the drive home with TT and Zach for the Mill drive home, driving home from the Den where it finished. Millwall 0, West Bromwich Albion 2. And probably over the course of the game, a fully deserved 3 points for the top of the table baggies. Although from a Mill point of view, I feel like we didn't really exert ourselves or put our stamp on the game. Don't get me wrong, the conditions for both sides, the pitch cut up quite a bit and the weather was horrendous. You know, standing up in the stands, it was, you know, the wind blowing into the Docker stand wasn't ideal, but we got there nonetheless. God knows how long it's going to take us to get home, but you know, we didn't create enough chances as the home side, and with every time West Brom went forward, we looked like we were going to concede, and we've not often had that. You know, we've given up a few chances, but defensively today we just seemed all over the place, barring one or two standout players. I thought Marlon Romeo today was I thought he was really, really good, and I'll go on to the individual players. But you know, it was a bit of an itty-bitty first half where it looked like I said, every time West Brom went forward they looked like they were going to score, and they did score. They took the lead in about the 40th minute, I think it was. Aidan O'Brien's tried to intercept a throw-in. He's got beat. It's allowed the West Brom player to turn, spread the ball into Kravinovic, who turns Marlon Romeo. You know, he's held his man, maybe not put enough pressure on him, but then bends it into the bottom right hand corner to put West Brom one up. You know, you look at the first half chances, Jed's got in behind and blazed wide, and ultimately, really, you look at it and think the final product, the goal scoring opportunities that we did create, Millwall, just wasn't good enough, and West Brom, you know, they wasted an excellent chance before they took the lead, but most of their shots were on target. They seemed the more, I wouldn't say deadly side, but the chances that they created, they looked, like I said, they looked more of a threat than we did. We go into half time 1-0 down, and you think they're going to change it because Smith's getting no change at all out of the two massive centre backs for West Brom. And I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, he was getting a lot of rough treatment, but you're not going to get anything from a ref at the Den. There's absolutely no chance of that. So I was surprised we didn't change it at half time, to be honest, but we didn't. And then it always looked like we were trying to push forward, but we're liable to get caught on the break. And we did get caught on the break. Correct, comes to the corner. Coldblow Lane there, just to my right. Comes to my corner. Comes from a corner, and it's abject, woeful defending. You cannot get beat at your near post. You know, I go back to when Steve Morrison used to manage and control that near post. Today, you can't. It's schoolboy defending. It's absolutely schoolboy defending, and that makes it 2-0. And then West Brom probably could have scored 3 or 4 attacking after that. You know, we'll go through our starting lineup. Bartosz Bieliakowski in goal. There was talk maybe he could have saved the first one. I don't think he could. It was hit well outside the box. He's finished it, put it into the bottom right hand corner. But Bart's made a couple of decent stops. A couple of times that, you know, I said to Zach that he's held on to the ball well, which was very difficult in those conditions, but he did that well. So for that reason, I'll give Bartosz a 7. Zach, what you give Bart?
It's hard because he caught a few, but then his near post, you can't concede at your near post. It was a 7 for me too. 7.
So we had a 4-3-3 formation today. Marlon Romeo at right back, Murray Wallace at left back, with the centre back pairing of Sean Hutchinson and Jake Cooper. And for the first time in a long time, I looked at our defence, and you know, certainly the two centre backs, they kept trying to intercept the ball and making mistakes. They were caught out of position. And don't get me wrong, it's good movement from West Brom. They played the ball around really quickly, but you've got to be better than that. Both of them did make goal line blocks. God, that car's had better days here. they're both done. They're both, like I said, they've both got a couple of blocks. But it was just not a very good performance from either one of them, and for that reason, I'm going to give both of them a 5. Zach, what are you going to give Hutchinson and Cooper?
Hutchinson made a really bad mistake today when it just went through him.
Yeah.
I guess it's the weather conditions, but he should really defend that still. I'll give Hutchinson a 5.5 and Cooper a 7.
Cooper a 7. Right. Now then we move on to Marlon Romeo, who was my man of the match. I thought Marlon defended excellently, and I think he got a bit tired in the second half. He was run ragged, but he was under a lot of pressure from West Brom players throwing themselves to the ground. Certainly Pereira, obviously they're talking being better than Jed, and on today's performance, skill wise and end product wise, he looks a player, but his histrionics it's embarrassing. One time he's just thrown his arms out and thrown himself to the ground, which makes it so difficult. But Marlon was put under a lot of pressure, but dealt with it, I felt. He covered a couple of times for the mistakes from the 2 centre-backs, and he was my man of the match. So for that reason, I'm going to give Marlon Romeo an 8. Zach, what are you going to give?
Well, Marlon Romeo is my half a man of the match. I also have another one today. He was just brilliant today, Marlon Romeo. He was brilliant defending wise. Once we let him through and we left it for each other, and Marlon Romeo just covered, and it was a brilliant performance by Marlon today. So I'll give him a 8.5.
Okay, then we move to Murray Wallace at left back. It was difficult for Murray Wallace today, certainly getting forward. He did a couple of times, tried to get on the ball. But, there's a lot of pace in that West Brom side, and they put him under a lot of pressure. I've got to say that actually I was surprised with the pace of how Robson Kano. I always thought it was a bit of a cart horse, but he showed a bit of turn of pace today. And Murray Wallace struggled to deal with it. And, a lot of the attacks came down his side. It wasn't his worst performance, and compared to the 2 centre-backs, I'll give him a 6. Zach?
I'll give Murray Wallace. He didn't play very well today. He was a bit like the 2 centre-backs, so I'll give him a 6.5.
6.5. And then we move to the midfield 3. I'm just going to say it quickly, I thought Jason Mulumbe was excellent, and a real... If you look at it, was 3 set tiers of our central midfield. I thought Mulumbe played really well. I thought Ryan Wood's done okay, give the ball away a couple of times, but his desire and a block right at the end was excellent. Would be middle tier, and Williams I thought was absolutely atrocious today. Gave the ball away, didn't switch on. Seemed like he got affected by the conditions more than anybody else. So for that reason, I'm going to give Mulumbe a 7. I'll give Woods a 6, and I'm going to give Williams a 5. Zach?
Well, I have a man of the match in the midfield today. Well, my other half of the man of the match. I'm actually going to give it to Ryan Woods.
Okay.
He played really well today, I thought. He was just... He threw himself about. He done some brilliant blocks. And he was just brilliant passing-wise too. He didn't get tackled much either, so I'll give Ryan Woods a 8.5.
Mulumbe?
Williams a 5 and Mulumbe a 7.
Right, then we move on to the front 3. I say front 3, it's more of a midfield 2 and then 1 striker. And again, you look at it and you think Jed Wallace on the right side of the 3 is the most impactful, but his final product again today was dreadful. He gets himself in some really good positions, and you really need him to be the player with the quality, and he just wasn't. He just, other than a couple of free kicks where he hit the target, I just don't think he showed enough composure today in front of goal, and it's difficult to be positive about that. He is the best of the front 5, and I'm going to give him a 6, which will show you. Zach, what are you going to give Wallace?
Some of his free kicks today were brilliantly saved from Johnston, so I will give him a 7 for his free kicks today.
Okay, and then we'll move on to Aidan O'Brien, who again, he's had a game where I don't think he's done anything really, anything of note, anything of any use. Like I said, it's hard to put the blame on someone on the left side of our pitch when the goal scored from the right, but he allows he tries to intercept the ball and doesn't make it. He's, rather than shepherding the player, he's allowed him to turn, run, and then pass the ball across the pitch. He's just done absolutely nothing for me today, Aidan O'Brien. And he gets a 5, but that's a lucky 5. Go on, Zach, what are you going to give him?
I'll say Aidan done a few bits well, done a few bits badly. I'll give him a 6. 6,
and then we move up front to Matt Smith. Now, like I said earlier in the video, that Matt had a lot of pressure on him. The defenders put hands all over him and were allowed to get away with it, but he just, again, he hasn't looked up when he could have done. He just was ineffective in that game. Like I said, I felt like it personally. I felt it was a mistake to put him in there against 2 massive centre backs. I felt that we should have had the legs of Tom Bradshaw. I'm not the manager, Matt Smith has played well beforehand, so you can see why he's put him on. But like I said, I felt it was a mistake today, and Matt Smith done absolutely nothing for me. For that reason, I'm going to give Matt Smith also a 5. Zach?
Matt Smith, he didn't play well today. He runs so slowly. It looks like he's jogging. He just didn't win anything in the air either. I would say a lucky 5.5.
Lucky 5.5. The subs that came on, Millwall obviously. The subs came on and I felt didn't really impact the game. Bradshaw came on late. Mahoney came on left midfield and for Aidan, and again he just does not get stuck in and doesn't get himself involved. None of them made a claim for the shirt. It's really hard not to be disappointed with that. I know West Brom are top of the league. I know that they are flying high. I know that they've got a lot of quality, and they showed it at times today. We'll move on to Ref Watch. Gavin Ward. Big decisions in games change it, and I don't know whether, like I said, we deserve to lose today, but for me, we got absolutely no change from Gavin Ward, and then there's a free kick by Jed. The defender puts his arm up. He might be blocking his face. It hits his arm cleanly. That's not a natural arm for your position to be in. Doesn't flick off any other part of the body. It's inside the box. It should be a penalty. That would make it 1-1 and completely changes the complexion of the game, and means that we could probably sit back a little bit rather than having to be so attacking and commit so many players forward. But like I said, we don't get that. We didn't get nearly any decisions, and it's hard to moan about referees in the Championship, because Gavin Ward referees in the Premiership and should be better than what he offered up to us, but obviously he didn't, and decisions like that change games. We now move on to a massive game on Wednesday against Fulham. It was going to always be difficult. The teams that we've faced, I thought probably we were quite woeful at Sheffield Wednesday in the second half, and then we've played West Brom and probably got played off our own pitch, which doesn't happen very often. And now we've got Fulham, so another big game, and honestly, it has to be better than it was today. The atmosphere was shocking. I felt that we didn't get into it at all as fans, which just all round, it's a pretty dismal day. What would you say, Zad? Pretty dismal?
Half and half.
Half and half. Anyway, we're driving down the A2 for a change, because the A13 is absolutely mashed the other side of the river. So I'm going to go down the A2 and then through the Blackwall Tunnel if I can ever get home. And hopefully I'm not blown away. If I'm not blown away, you'll see me at the Den on Wednesday night. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you don't mind. Put your comments in. Overall, not a happy performance for the Lions. No one likes us.
We don't care.